The average agency has just over 1,000 meetings every single year. From team calls, client calls, and sales calls, having a meeting system for your agency is not an option, especially at scale. A meeting system shouldn't be complicated. It should automatically update to avoid any unnecessary admin work, give everyone a clear insight into different types of meetings like sales calls, and be clearly organized into different sections, making it easy to use and understand. In this video, I'll be breaking down an example of the perfect meeting system you need in your SMMA agency and showing you a truly scalable solution you can steal from me and implement in your agency straight away. If you're new here, you'll soon find out we don't hold anything back, so be ready to get a full solution to a massive problem in your life from a random guy on YouTube. Let's get straight into the perfect meeting system for your agency.
Alright guys, so before I kind of go over the different tools you need, and how to actually set this up in terms of different meeting types and a database host and the automations to actually do this, I want to show you a quick live demonstration of what this actually looks like when it's in full effect. So this is the admin view. You can see all the different types of meetings. If you open this up, you can see the title, the date, how long it is, the meeting type, the projects that's associated to it, and the assigned team members. Obviously, we have different filters here for different dates, filters for different type of calls. So, for example, if we only have sales calls, if we only have for specific projects. But the cool thing is that this breaks down the team member. So if you switch over to a different team member, we go to his particular meetings. You can only see his meetings. And if you open this up and open up a specific meeting, this is the cool thing. You can obviously have the meeting link to actually join the meeting, the date when it's happening, the duration, the type of meeting, and the relevant task associated with that specific meeting, as well as a project if it exists. The most important thing about this whole system is that it happens automatically. So you won't have to spend time organizing different meetings depending on what type of call it is, or trying to look back at all your different meeting recordings, trying to find a specific meeting. And all of this is just powered from a simple database that looks something like this. We have all the different meetings and a bunch of different properties or fields that we're tracking to make it all sync up in one complete portal. If you haven't watched my video going over client portals, I suggest checking it out because that's another example of this operating system we've built out. Let's get into the tools you actually need to set this up. So it's split into 4 different things, with one of them being optional. But the most important thing we want to start is a booking platform. Now, we use Calendly, and I'm sure about 90% of you use Calendly. For me, it's just the easiest and it looks the prettiest. But if you want, you could also do this with GHL. It doesn't really matter. You just need a booking platform where you can kind of set specific events and allow people to book in those events. The second thing you need is a meeting platform. Now, what I mean by this is basically somewhere that you can actually host a meeting. Once again, most people use Zoom. We use Google Meet, but it doesn't really matter. This works with either one of these or any external meeting platforms that you may have. You can just copy the exact same frameworks and apply it to what you're using. The next thing you need is a database host. And what I mean by that is, remember this database I showed you earlier, it needs somewhere to actually put it. For this, you can use Notion, SmartSuite, ClickUp, or even this custom thing we build out, depending on your specific stage in the agency. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that every single one of these doesn't have their own limitations, because they do. But once again, you can copy the exact frameworks we use within these and work around the limitations to make it work within your agency. This is another example of what a database could look like. You basically have your different meeting types, links to specific projects that you're working on, the participants of the meeting, any notes from the meetings, any action tasks, and these are filters for sales meetings where you can automatically track data, whether they're qualified and if you close them or not. I know this already sounds complicated, but don't worry. We're going to be breaking everything down for you so you can actually set this up properly. And in all honesty, you don't need a super complicated database. I don't want to show you at the start. Implementing a simple database, even half of this, is more than enough to get you started on building a perfect meeting system for your SMMA agency. And the last thing we talk about is an automation tool. Once again, you have different options here. You can use Zapier, you can use Make. Now, in all honesty, they don't differentiate that much. You can choose whatever you prefer. We used both depending on a specific use case. I'm pretty sure both of them have free trials. So I'd recommend just trying out both and pick one you prefer. I believe Zapier is a bit easier to use. So if you're a complete beginner, I'd recommend going with that. And the last optional thing is an AI note taker. For this, you can use something like Fathom or Fireflies. Now, this is optional for a reason. You really don't need this. But using an AI note taker is one of the pro tips we have, because they allow you to automatically summarize meetings, have action items, stuff like that. But once again, this is completely optional and it's not necessary. You don't need this, which is why I'm not going to be breaking this down too much. But I just wanted to leave it as a possibility of something that you can do in the future when you look back on this video after you've already set up your meeting system. For this video right here, we're going to keep it super simple. We're going to use Calendly as our booking database, Zoom as our host, our own internal database I showed you at the start to host the database and actually build out the front end, and Zapier for automations. Now, the only reason I'm going to use Zapier is Like I said, it's a bit beginner friendly, but don't get too hung up on a different software that you're using because once again, it really, really doesn't matter. You can copy the exact same frameworks I'm using today or whatever software you choose to go with. All right, now that we kind of gone over all the tools that we actually need to do this, there's 3 different steps we need to build out to make this work. And guys, before I get into the different meeting types and how you should do that, make sure to like and subscribe. There's no one else on YouTube in our space anyways giving away this much value completely for free. But let's get straight back into it. So for meeting types, you need to split it into the different types of meetings you have. So basically, any meeting that you have on a repetitive basis, create a meeting for it. The main example are obviously sales calls, team calls with your team, and client calls with your existing clients. This example, what it would look like on Calendly, the main thing is that we have different names for each type of call. So team calls, kickoff calls, administration calls, literally every single call we have on a repetitive basis. And the only reason we have this is because when the client makes a booking, it will automatically create a Zoom event with that particular name, which will allow us to then filter it through for different types of calls and meeting types. So pause this video right now, head over to your booking software like Calendly and create different events for all the repetitive calls you have in your agency, like sales calls, team calls, or client calls. Once that's done, we actually need to set up the database or the backend for what this actually looks like. Like I said, you don't need to have something as complicated as this. The main things we're looking to track here is the meeting type, which is split into however many meetings you want to track, the duration of the call, the date, quite obviously, and the meeting link. The rest of this, like team members, link to projects, and all the other stuff you see here is 100% not necessary, and we're not going to go into that just to keep this video as simple as possible. So in your platform of choice, go ahead and create a small database like this with these 5 fields, which are going to be filling in using automation every single time someone books a call. All right, guys, once that's all done, we want to set up the actual automation to make this happen. And in reality, there's only one automation to set up, and it will look something like this. Whenever someone books a call, it will filter it depending on what type of call it is. So whether it's a sales call, team call, client call, and then it will create an item in the database, filling it in with those specific things. And just for context, the database is the database we just created in a previous step. Now, the database is the first step of it. Once that's done, you can set up different views to actually present your data in whichever way you want. So let's go into Zapier to actually build out this automation to show you what it would look like. All right, guys, this is what the automation actually looks like on Zapier. Fairly similar to what I presented here with the initial template. Just a couple more steps we need to actually add. Now, the first step is always the trigger, which is probably the most important step of your automation. This is basically what causes your automation to run every single time. Quite obviously, in this example, it's going to be when a new invitee is created in Calendly, which basically means when a new event gets scheduled. Now, with the previous Calendly integration, you didn't have to add these 2 extra steps. It already did it for you. But now we had a couple extra steps. This first step is just a formatter step, which basically splits the name into first name and second name so we can add it to our database properly. And this step is just formats the data in a much prettier format. Like I said, it is a bit annoying. Previously, Calendly would do automatically, but I think about 2 months ago, they updated their API. So now you have to do this by yourself. And then we get to the most important step, which is actually set up the paths. Now, I do believe you need a premium Zapier account for this, which you do get access to in your free trial. But once you set up the paths, as you can see, I've created a bunch of different filters for each path. And it all depends on the name of the actual event. So if we open this up to have a look to see what I'm talking about, we can see this specific path only passes if the event name contains demo or demonstration call and event type name contains discovery for all my discovery calls. So what that basically means is all the calls that we filtered in the first step, only calls that contain demonstration and discovery will pass down a specific path. And for this path, only calls that contain strategy will pass down a specific path. I want to make this as clear as possible for you guys. The reason why we put them in their specific meeting types is so we can actually filter them through based on the name of the event that's actually created. And once we do that, we can create the records using your database account like SmartSuite, for example. And you can go ahead and add the title, the participants, the data, the duration, straight from Calendly. And the most important part is this bit right here, the meeting type. Each step will have its own individual meeting type. So for this example, because it's demonstration calls and discovery calls, the type of call is a sales call. So now when we update this record, it will automatically apply to SmartSuite, allowing it to filter through in a specific individual section. Once you complete this individual step, test it, of course, and make sure it's updated properly in your database. and just copy and paste this for all your other calls. The way to do that, you just press these three dots, press copy, then paste below. And now the only thing you need to change here, which is a small thing that makes a massive difference, you want to scroll down and where it says meeting type, change it to your specific meeting that you set through the path. So for example, this is strategy call, so I'm going to call it a client call. So now every single call that comes through here is going to be labeled as client call, allowing us to filter it through. When you're building out these automation, make sure to test it as you're going along because it'll save you a lot of pain when you try to test everything at the end. You get a bunch of different errors and you're stuck there trying to figure out what the actual problem is. So don't follow what I'm doing in this video exactly because I'm not testing my steps just to save time. But if you're doing this, especially for your first time, each one of these steps, make sure you're testing it, checking your database and make sure everything's being brought in properly. Optional automation that you can also add is very similar to this. So basically, whenever a recording comes in now, it filters it through based on a stage similar to the previous automation, but now it finds the item, which in this case is a particular meeting, and updates it with a recording link, just allowing you to track your recordings. Honestly, this is not the only automation you can integrate within this kind of meeting system. There's a ton of more things you can do to automatically warm up your leads, automatically cancel your calls, assign it to different team members automatically, even create clients in your CRM and assign that meeting to them automatically. There's a lot of different things you can do. And eventually, once you set this meeting up, it's essential like develop this automation a bit more to make it more useful to your specific pain points and processes within your agency. Once you've got all of this together, you're probably wondering, what does it actually do like? Well, I'm going to show you an example here. So once again, this is the database, which is a bit more developed. If you go over to the front end of this, you can see this employee, Brett Stevens, only sees what he's assigned to. So for example, he's had 2 meetings this month. And if you open up, you can see the date of the meeting, the duration, the kickoff call, the meeting link to actually join it, all the different tasks associated with that project, which once again, you can open up and see the different things and the relevant project that that meeting is assigned to. From an admin point of view, she can see all the different types of meetings that's going on within her agency and can filter it through depending on different types of calls. So if it's a client call or even a specific project that she's looking for. So if she wants to look at specific companies, she can have all that information in one place. You can also create different views such as upcoming meetings and past meetings. And guys, I want to show you as many examples as I can of how you can actually utilize this database. So if you go over to the sales hub and go to sales breakdown, now you can also see all the upcoming sales calls you've got, or even track their performance such as no-shows, qualified rates, and close rates. There's a lot you can do once you build out this meeting system. And honestly, guys, the possibilities are literally endless when it comes to your own custom database and automation. Now, one thing I didn't want to do in this video is go into too much detail because I want to make it simple and easy for anyone to follow along. So if you have any questions whatsoever, please do drop a comment. I'm here to support you guys any way I can. In all honesty, we're still a very small channel, so this is the best chance to actually drop a comment because we're 100% going to see it. It's not like we're getting flooded with different comments. So if you need any help with anything, drop a comment and I'm more than happy to help you guys completely for free. If you want to learn a bit more about meeting system, client portals, different automations, and using AI in your agency, I suggest check out the first link in the description to get access to this 20+ page Google document going over how you can save 100 hours every single month for the scalable system in your agency to set up a scale-proof agency. The cool thing about this document is that it provides examples based on your specific pain points of different automation you can use with step-by-step guides on how to set them up, and also gives you 2 different ways to actually optimize your processes like onboarding or your client journey, provide as much value as possible to your agency. All you have to do is to access this to check out the first link in the description and complete the short 5-minute form. It's 100% free as always, and this is actually our new improved lead magnet, which we spent over 40 hours putting together since the start of 2024. If you've watched up to this point, you're obviously interested in how you can use automation in your agency. So if you haven't already, make sure to sign up to the newsletter using the second link in the description. We release 2 weekly emails going over different ways you can use automation and systems like this meeting system within your agency. And lastly, if you want to learn about what we do, how we can actually help your agency by setting up different meeting systems like this within the custom operating system we build out for all of our clients, you can check out the third link in the description to get access to our 10-minute video going over exactly what we do and how we do it. I was getting a lot of messages on Instagram asking me, what do you guys actually do? So I thought I'd put together this quick 10-minute video breaking that down. I will say this is not for everyone. So if you're not at a stage where you're ready to invest in yourself and actually need the system to scale your agency, then I wouldn't recommend booking in. and just continue taking all of these free resources and put in YouTube. At the end of the day, the whole purpose of this is to get you started your automation journey. So please do make the most of all these YouTube videos are dropping and all the resources we release for you guys, because we're investing a lot of money and time making these for you. I'm sure this video was valuable. Like I said, guys, if you have any questions whatsoever, please do drop a comment. I'm here to support you. And if you haven't already, check out this video right here going over the perfect client portal and how you can use those in your agency to improve your customer success. This is all part of a 5-part series going over the ideal operating system for SMMA agency. So make sure to subscribe and like, because we're dropping videos like this every single week. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate everyone's support, and I'll catch you in the next one.